cloudy nights, roar of the field burning bright, shadows clash in the fading night. Student body rise, student body fight. Feel the surge, feel the might. Run the play under the blue spotlight.
That is ugly.
Cleats on the
Let me just
turf,
check in here. There we go. Welcome to another Student Body Right. I'm your host, Ryan Neff. Wacky college football this particular weekend. Okay, enough of the music. But without further ado, because of what's happened down there in Baton Rouge, let's bring him on. That is Mr. Carson from Vintage LSU Football on the Twitter machine. It's at Vintage LSU FTV, conservator of all things LSU football, vintage tickets, programs, and photos. Carson, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man, always a pleasure.
Where do I start? Look, I never understood the hire in the first place. When they brought Brian Kelly in, he came to LSU to win a national championship. Didn't think he could do it in Notre Dame. They paid him boatloads of money. Had a good first year. Second year, it was kind of okay. Obviously, with Jaden Daniels, and last year kind of took a step back. He dips into the transfer portal. They bring Garrett Nussmeier back, XYZ. What was the tipping point? I'm sure LSU fans and the higher ups of LSU and the boosters weren't too happy with last year. But what sort of sealed his fate? Obviously, it was a Texas A&M game. But where did it sort of take the wrong turn for Brian Kelly?
That's a tough question because he didn't start off on the right foot. Like, I didn't think it was a great fit either, but I thought, hey, this is one of the winningest coaches in college football history. He's won everywhere he's been, so he can kind of come here, recruit like crazy, and he's going to win, especially when you had the previous three head coaches win national championships. But then he comes in and he gets rid of like Corey Raymond, who'd been here for DBU and all those championships. He gets rid of our strength coach who had been a fixture here for 25 years. So he made a lot of moves that he got rid of Blake Baker and then has to bring him back. So he does a lot of things that had us questioning him from day one. And I don't know if the fan base ever really bought into him, except for the LSU Alabama game in the very first year. When he beats him the very first year and takes us to the SEC championship, I think we thought he was going to be the guy. And then I think just slowly it started to erode. He never really ingratiated himself to the fans. I think earlier this year when we beat Florida 20-10, he goes on there and says that we're spoiled. And heck yeah, we're spoiled. I mean, we're used to winning championships. We're not Alabama. We're not going to win them every year, but we expect to be competing every year for at least the playoff when it's going to be 12 teams. So I think losing to Vanderbilt, I know Vandy's good. I know Pavia is good, but we don't lose to Vanderbilt, man. That just doesn't happen. So I think that started off. And plus, we had sent our entire LSU board of directors to that game. They're on the sidelines in Nashville. They get to see it up close. And it wasn't as close as the score indicated. So I think they right off the bat were like, okay, this is not – if this doesn't turn around quickly, we're in trouble. So I think obviously the A&M game was a tipping point that really sent over the edge. I mean, man, there's stories floating all around. I heard that our AD was running around the booster booth in the fourth quarter asking if he's got the money to do this. So it wasn't it. I'm not surprised that he's gone, other than the fact that we got to pay him $53 million.
Was the team overhyped in the preseason, do you think?
I don't think so. Like the people they brought in, I mean, I think our defensive line was going to be really good. Our skill position players are really good. The offensive line was suspect. We brought in a kid from Northwestern who ends up being he's our good center, probably our best offensive lineman. I expected him to build a great offensive line and a great tight end room. That's what he did at Notre Dame. And he was not able to really do that here, except for the tight ends. And Mason Taylor was already here. Trey'Dez Green's a stud. I mean, he's a freak athlete. And Bauer Sharp's a pretty solid player. But I don't know that we were overhyped. I don't think the players ever bought into him. I think for some reason this year, I mean, if you look at some of his interactions on the sidelines with Nussmeier last year with Chris Hilton, I don't think that they really liked him. And I don't know if you've noticed the reactions from former players on Twitter and on social media after he's fired this morning and last night has been, wow, eye-opening. Like this stuff wasn't coming out until he was gone. So I don't know that the players ever really fought for him. Frank Wilson, the new interim coach, he's going to be a great players coach. He's not going to be the head coach, but I think he can keep the team together, and they're going to need it. The last 4 games are going to be crucial to see if we get to a bowl and can somehow finish this season on a winning note. But I don't know that we're overhyped. We probably were a little bit. I thought beating Clemson was going to be a big deal. Clemson stinks, so that's not a big deal. But maybe a little bit. We're probably top 10, not top 5 kind of thing. So,
yeah, the thing about the whole Brian Kelly thing for me, Carson, was look, I saw him at Cincinnati. He had the same interactions with players there. Then he went to Notre Dame, was the same thing there. And then when he was at LSU, it was the same thing there. As far as I'm concerned, Brian Kelly has anger management issues.
Oh, yeah.
And it comes out in the sideline. It comes out in his post-game pressers. When he gets backed into or things aren't going his way, he throws a pity party. He lets it out. And that's why I thought when LSU hired him, I was like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Didn't know the culture. Doesn't know SEC culture. Look, did he win at Cincinnati? Yes. Did he win at Notre Dame? Yes. But did anybody watch the national championship game back in 2012, 2013? They got waxed.
Yeah.
They got handed. And again, like you said, first year, you go for 2, you beat Alabama in the first year. That's sort of like put like a little smooth layering over it for a little while. So where does LSU turn now? Look, Brian Kelly with the big buyout. James Franklin with the big buyout. Billy Napier for my Gators, big buyout. I would think that ADs and presidents of universities now are going to look at these particular situations and say, we can't pay that amount of exponential money to these guys, period, going forward. I don't know how you feel. I don't know what you're hearing. Who do they have on their list that they may go after?
Well, not a lot of names have been floating around. I've heard the first couple of calls that our AD, Scott Woodward, needs to make is to Urban Meyer and Nick Saban. They're not coming. You're not going to get those guys to come.
Yeah.
I mean, Saban didn't leave Alabama because he didn't like Alabama. He left because he was tired of football and the way that it was being run and the NIL and running it like NFL team. So those guys aren't coming. So the next ones on the list are going to be Dan Lanning, those kind of guys. Lanning's not coming. We're not going to be able to outbid Phil Knight in Oregon for Lanning. I think he would listen just because it's LSU, and I think it's one of the top jobs in the country. But he's not going to come. So I agree with you on the money 100%. Louisiana has a lot of money, a lot of private money, but they don't have A&M money. They don't have Texas money, Michigan money, that kind of thing. So I think we have to be careful with who we hire, because if it's Lane Kiffin, which is my guess is where they're going to go first, because Lane wanted the job when Orgeron was let go. I mean, he wanted the job then. We probably should have hired him then, and it wouldn't have cost us as much. But his agent's going to up the price. He's going to get in a bidding war with your Gators, my Tigers, and Ole Miss, and it's going to be, how high will you go for this guy? And you're talking about $12 million plus a year. Is he worth that?
Yeah.
No, nobody's worth that. Unless your name is Saban, you're not worth that. So I've heard names like Joe Brady. He's not coming back from the NFL, I don't think. He made it pretty clear when he was here in back channels that he did not want to be a college coach. He didn't like recruiting. He didn't like putting up with 20-year-old kids. I've heard the Tulane coach, Summerall. I think that would be an interesting hire, because I don't care about the big name. The big names don't always work for us. And we did that with Kelly, and it didn't work. So I'd be interested to see if you can find a guy that's in a power or a group of 5 type program that is won consistently, recruited consistently. I'd be interested in that. I'd love to get Kiffin. I just don't know I want to pay $12 to $15 million for him. I've also heard the name of Kellen Shepard floated around. He's the DC over with the Detroit Lions, because he's a former linebacker for us.
Yeah.
I'm 50-50 on that. I think Shepard he'd be great for the culture. He'd be great for the players. I don't know what kind of head coach he'd be. He's still pretty young, so I don't know what that would look like. Maybe in 5 or 10 years he'd be great, but my guess is going to be an all-out assault for Kiffin. He wanted the job a few years ago. Heck, his daughter's dating Whit Weeks, so he's got a little bit of ties to the program there inadvertently. So that's my guess is where they go. What can they land him? Are they willing to spend that much? I don't know.
Could they go after maybe like a Brett Key or Kurt Signetti?
Man, I would love Signetti. I love his attitude and how he managed that. And what an indictment on Kelly that Signetti can go into Indiana and turn a morbid program. That the only person I can name you that played for Indiana of any significance is Antoine Randall L. or Anthony Thompson. I mean, those are the only guys I can think of that played that. And for him to go and turn them into the number 2 team in the nation is phenomenal. Yeah. I don't think that they'll go for that. I don't think that they'll try. I think they're going to try for a guy that's in the South already, that has ties to the SEC already. And I know Signetti does. I know he was with Saban and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they went for a coordinator on Georgia's staff or something like that, just to see what that guy might interview like. I've heard Blake Baker maybe. I don't know that he's ready for that yet. And to be honest, our defense hasn't been great the last few weeks. Once we started playing better teams, they kind of gotten exposed a little bit. So I don't know if he's ready for that either. So I'm willing for them to shake the bushes on anybody. But I would be interested to see somebody that can grow into the job with us a little bit. Now, we can't afford to take somebody that was a head coach for 1 year, went 12-1, and now he thinks he can be the head coach at LSU. He needs to have a proven track record. But I would like to see maybe us grow into somebody like that too. Like, because it's a thin tree out there. There's not a whole lot of names out there that are going to be moving around. And I don't want Franklin either, by the way. Don't even. That's another Kelly, man. He can't win a big game. No, forget that. I don't need that down here.
What are your thoughts on maybe Dabo?
I'm afraid Dabo, because I don't know if you remember, but Kelly did not want to pay for recruits and for transfer portal players. And he was like, I'm not going to do it. And it cost him a year basically because he just went after high school kids when everybody else was paying for recruits. Dabo's kind of in the same boat. I think Dabo needs to evolve a little bit. I know he said a couple of weeks ago that he thinks he's going to be a better coach now than he ever has been. I find that hard to believe, but I would listen to it, but I haven't heard that name floated around at all.
Final thing. What do you think? Where do the players go from here? Look, a lot of these guys Brian Kelly brought in. This was his 4th year. Obviously, Nussmeier not having the year that he wanted. The defense looks like it's falling apart. Do you think they're going to rally around this? I know they have kind of a dicey schedule. They can still make a decent bowl game. Are they going to make the SEC title game? No. But where does the program go from here on out before they bring in their next coach? What are the players in this coaching staff? Are they going to rally around what's just happened, do you think?
I think with Frank Wilson, they can. Louisiana, playing football in the state at the high school and college level, if you play football in Louisiana, you want to play for LSU. And so I think the kids that are from LSU are going to stay. I think for the majority. I mean, you're going to have some kids that want to transfer. I mean, Ashton Stamps has already put his name in the portal because he wasn't playing. But the guy, the Harlem Berries, those kind of kids that are in the program from Louisiana, especially from Southern Louisiana, I don't think you're going to see them bolt too much as long as the coach carousel starts to move pretty quickly. If you're a kid from Texas, Mississippi, Arkansas, farther away, California, we're trying to recruit some kids out of California and stuff. We're probably going to lose those kids, especially the recruits. But I know Caden Durham's from Duncanville, Texas, around Dallas. He might leave because he sees Harlem Berry there, and he's not really a Louisiana kid. So I think you're going to have some. I think losing the coach, you're going to lose some kids, right? Some kids are going to say, I don't know what this is. This was my guy, even though a whole lot of people didn't like him. He was still my guy. He's the one that believed in me. and they're probably going to bolt. But I think you're going to see most of the key parts of this roster stay together. I think.
Carson, thanks for coming on, man. I will have to get in contact with you, whoever
Yeah,
they hire, so I can pick your brain. Thanks, man. Enjoy the rest of the season.
yeah, man. Take care.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, look, LSU is obviously in flux. There's a lot of programs in flux. My Gators are in flux. Penn State's in flux. It's going to be a lot more. That's just the state of college football as it is now. So we'll see what happens. Like you said, are they going to go after a real big name and they're going to have to shell out the big bucks after what's happened in the landscape of college football with the buyouts? No, no. I think they'll go after a good name. Are they going to shell out that kind of money again? Absolutely freaking no. I think ADs and presidents are learning their lessons. It'd be interesting to see. Kiffin's going to be at the top of many people's lists. LSU's going to go after him. Florida will go after him. Maybe even Penn State will go after him. He is high up on the list of many people, but we'll see. Again, I've got to resort to my phone because my Verizon pad has shit the bed. Washington, Kansas City, they just kicked off. Washington has the football first. Let me top 25 last week's games. I'm not going to go over stats. I'll save that for next week. Again, thanks for Carson coming on. I normally go through stats. I'm not going to. I'll just go down what I saw over the weekend. Number 14, Texas Tech beat Oklahoma State 42-0. Oklahoma State, another program in flux. Just a brutal season. Be interesting to see who Oklahoma State brings in for their next head coach. The game wasn't close. Texas Tech just rolled all over them. Number 16, Virginia had to come back and beat North Carolina. 17-16, final in overtime. I believe North Carolina went for 2 from what I saw in overtime. Virginia holds on. Virginia, with only the one loss, they're 7-1. It's an iffy 7-1 though, but look, they're 7-1. So number 22, Texas had to come back to beat Mississippi State 45-38, final in overtime. Arch Manning is in concussion protocol. Again, Texas I still don't know who they are. Still don't know. Feel bad for Mississippi State. 3 out of the 4 losses, they should have won those games. Mississippi State should be 7-1, but they're not. Texas's defense, they show spurts, being a dominant defense, but then they have lackadaisical efforts at times. Number 25, Michigan beat their in-state rivals, Michigan State, 31-20. Michigan, I think, now finding their identity. Run the damn football, take the pressure off of Bryce Underwood. They're going to win games. Number 2, Indiana beat the shit out of UCLA, 56-6. UCLA's winning party has come to an abrupt halt. Look, what Kurt Cignetti has done at Indiana is nothing short of incredible. I did not think Indiana would be having the season again like they did last year, but go and take a look at the remaining schedule. They're probably going to go undefeated, and they're probably going to play for a Big Ten championship. Again, Carson's LSU Tigers, they were 25th or 20th last week. They lose to Texas A&M, number 3 ranked Texas A&M at the time. 49-25. LSU held the lead there for a little while. Excuse me. And then it just fell apart. And such was the end of Brian Kelly. Number 4, Alabama had to come back to beat South Carolina, 29-22. Anybody who watched the game, South Carolina had them. And, of course, Lenora Sellers fumbled there after Alabama had tied it. And that was all she wrote. Number 6, Oregon with a lackluster performance against a horrible Wisconsin team, 21-7. I think Oregon might be ranked a little too high after losing to Indiana in the fashion that they did 2 weeks ago. And then this lackluster performance against a Wisconsin squad that is not good. Number 7, Georgia Tech beat Syracuse 41-16. Georgia Tech was one of my sleeper teams this year. I think they're the favorites to win the ACC right now, to be quite honest with you. They are a well-balanced football team. I picked number 8, Ole Miss, to beat number 13, Oklahoma, 34-26. Again, Brett Venables just can't win big games. Ole Miss with a nice rebound. First win against a ranked opponent on the road for Lane Kiffin, but with the big win, 34-26. Number 9, Miami bounced back in a big way. They beat Stanford 42-7. Stanford was up 7-0, and then that was all she wrote. Miami can still win the ACC. Number 10, Vanderbilt over a hard-fought victory against number 15, Missouri, 17-10. Eli Drinkwitz, he will be on some people's radars. But look, Vandy having a special season as far as Vandy goes. And Missouri, I believe, with their second straight loss, 17-10. Number 11, BYU came back and beat Iowa State 41-27. Again, Dan Campbell at Iowa State, always waiting for the program to take the next step. And he just, the team, and he just falters. I know it's hard to win out there in Ames. And I love what he's done, but it's just like NC State in the ACC, always waiting for NC State to take the next step. And Dan Campbell and Iowa State just fall in their face. BYU with a huge win. Now they remain undefeated. One of the favorites now to win the Big 12. Number 17, Tennessee beat Kentucky 56-34. Points aplenty. If you took the over on that game, congratulations. Tennessee with a nice SEC road win, although the defense is a little suspect. Memphis came back to beat number 18, South Florida, 34-31 in a huge American matchup. But Memphis with the big win. Memphis still in line for a potential college football playoff berth. Number 19, Louisville outlasted Boston College 38-24. Louisville, another one of those teams. It could still win an ACC championship if everything falls to plan. But they beat BC 38-24. Number 21, Cincinnati, all over Baylor 41-20. Cincinnati, Utah, Texas Tech, BYU, they're all in play for a Big 12 title and automatic berth. But Cincinnati wins. Number 23, Illinois. Again, Brett Bielema teams. I've seen this before with Brett Bielema's coach teams. Illinois had a fantastic year last year. Fast forward to this year, Illinois was one of my sleeper teams. Now Illinois is 5-3. I had picked Illinois to make the college football playoff, but again, I don't know why I trust Brett Bielema's teams over and over again because they seem to falter. But Washington beats them 42-25. And then I called this one last week. Houston beat number 24 Arizona State 24-16. Houston, another one in the Big 12, 7-1. Let me bring up the Big 12 standings right now. BYU and Cincinnati are both undefeated in the Big 12. They're both 5-0. Texas Tech and Houston are both 4-1. Those are the cream of the crop right now. Utah, Arizona State, and Kansas State and TCU are all 3-2, still in the mix. If you want to go to the American Conference, Navy's 5-0, Tulane's 3-0, Memphis is 3-1, USF's 3-1, North Texas is 3-1, Temple's 3-1, East Carolina's 2-1. I said last weekend, not this particular weekend, but the weekend before, that all hell was going to break loose in college football. And I was correct. The ACC, Georgia Tech and Virginia, both undefeated in conference play. Pitt 4-1, Louisville 3-1, SMU 3-1, Duke 3-1, Miami 2-1. Big Ten, it's Indiana on Ohio State, and then everybody else. Oregon, Iowa, Michigan, they're all 4-1. But I just haven't seen it out of those teams. Indiana and Ohio State are creme de la creme. Conference USA, Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State, both 3-0 in conference play. Western Kentucky's 4-1. Mid-American Conference, Miami of Ohio sits on top, 4-0. Central Michigan, Ohio, Buffalo, Western Michigan, all 3-1 conference play. Check out Maction. It's fantastic football. Check it out every once in a while. Out in the Mountain West, same players. Boise's undefeated, 4-0. San Diego State, 3-0. Hawaii sitting at 3-1. Southeastern Conference, Texas A&M, Alabama, both 5-0 in conference play. UGA, Mississippi, 4-1. Vandy and Texas, 3-1. Out there in the Sun Belt Conference, James Madison is undefeated, 4-0. Central Coastal Carolina, 3-1. That is in the Sun Belt East. In the Sun Belt West, Southern Miss and Troy, both 4-0, and that rounds that out. So let's week number 10, Halloween weekend, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to go through the top 25. It all starts Friday, 7:00. Memphis, number 25, Memphis, 7-1. Traveling to Rice, 4-4. Memphis favored by 13.5. Memphis needs to show up. Not like they did against South Florida. I know they won. I'm going to go Memphis 38, Rice 20. Saturday games, Penn State travels to take on number 1 Ohio State. Penn State 3-4, Ohio State 7-0. Ohio State favored by 20.5. Kind of a rivalry game, I would say. Penn State may score 10 points. I'm going to go Ohio State 40, Penn State 17. What used to be called the greatest cocktail party in the world. Number 5, Georgia at 6-1 travels to take on my 3-4 Gators. Georgia's only favored by 7.5. I'm not a homer. If Florida comes to play, they can't turn the ball over. They're going to have to convert on third down. I still think Georgia pulls away. I'm going to go Georgia 35, Florida 20. Number 13, Texas Tech at 7-1 travels to take on Kansas State at 4-4, who all of a sudden is back in the mix in the Big 12. Texas Tech favored by 7.5. It's all laid out in front of it for Texas Tech yet. I was wrong on Kansas State this year, although they've righted the ship a little bit. I'm going to go Texas Tech 30, Kansas State 20. ESPN College Game Day will be out there in Utah. Number 17, Cincinnati 7-1, taking on number 24 Utah at 6-2. Oh God, going to be a close game. Going to be a good game, but I'm going to take Utah 28, Cincinnati 24. Number 10, Miami travels to take on SMU. Miami 6-1, SMU 5-3. Watch out, Miami. Watch out. Miami's favored by 12.5. I think SMU going to keep it close. I'll go Miami 33, SMU 24. West Virginia at 2-6 travels to take on number 22 Houston at 7-1. Houston favored by 13.5. Forget about it. Houston 40, West Virginia 17. Number 16 Louisville at 6-1 travels to take on Virginia Tech 3-5. Louisville favored by 10.5. Virginia Tech, another program that's in flux. I'm going to go Louisville 38, Virginia Tech 20. Number 2, Indiana at 8-0, traveling to take on Maryland at 4-3. Indiana favored by 20.5. Indiana keeps it rolling. I'll go Indiana 45, Maryland 17. Number 12, Notre Dame at 5-2, traveling to take on 1-7 Boston College. Notre Dame is favored by 28.5. It's the battle of the Catholics. Notre Dame should roll. I'm going Notre Dame 49, Boston College 17. Number 15, Virginia at 7-1, traveling to take on Cal at 5-3. Virginia is favored by 4.5. I don't like what I saw out of Virginia against North Carolina. Virginia is favored by 4.5. I'm going to call for the upset. I'm going to go Cal 27, Virginia 23. South Carolina at 3-5, traveling to take on number 7 Ole Miss. Mississippi's favored by 13.5. Don't know if Mississippi will cover. Mississippi wins 30-20. Purdue at 2-6, traveling to take on number 21 Michigan at 6-2. Michigan favored by 20.5. Purdue's not good. I'm going to go Michigan 41, Purdue 17. Number 8, Georgia Tech, traveling to take on NC State at 4-4. Georgia Tech 8-0. Georgia Tech favored by 6.5. Georgia Tech 35, NC State 20. Number 18, Oklahoma, traveling to take on number 14, Tennessee. They're both 6-2. Tennessee favored by 2.5. I don't trust Brent Venables' teams. Tennessee 28, Oklahoma 21. Number 23, USC at 5-2, traveling to take on Nebraska at 6-2. SC favored by 6.5. I've got Nebraska winning this game. I'm going to go Nebraska 27, USC 23, which comes to my game of the week. Number 9, Vandy at 7-1 at Texas, ranked 20th at 6-2. Now, Arch Manning's in concussion protocol. We don't know, or probably won't know, what happens with him until later on in the week if he passes concussion protocol. Vanderbilt 7-1, possibly still make an SEC championship game. Texas still sitting at 6-2, outside possibility of making a SEC title game, although it's not great. Texas is favored by 1.5, probably because Arch Manning is in concussion protocol. Even if Arch doesn't play, somebody knows something that I don't. I know Vandy's having a special season, but somehow, some way, I think Texas comes out victorious. I'm going to go Texas 27, Vanderbilt 24. And yes, which brings me to the point in the show where Texas, you get the finger this week. The Texas Longhorns will win 27-24. Do we have any music for that? Yes, we do. Yes, Texas, you get the finger. I'm calling for Texas. I guess you could call it a mild upset. Texas will win this game 27-24. It will propel Texas back into the national conversation. It's not going to be a blowout by any means. But Texas gets the finger. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see everybody tomorrow at around 7 o'clock on the Cole County Entertainment Network for another edition of Early Eating Sports Buffet with Ginch. Enjoy the baseball game. Enjoy the Monday Night Football game. I'm out. Have a good night, everybody. Oh, and thanks to Carson from Vintage LSU for coming on. Thank you so much.
Field burning bright, shadows clash in the fading night. Student body right, student body fight. Feel the surge, feel the might. Run the play under the blue spotlight. Cleats on the turf, hearts in the game. Chasing the glory, chasing the flame.